Hello, my friends. This is Heather. This is episode 94. Holy moly. This is the last episode of season 1. Can you believe it? We've done a whole year of the Back to Me podcast. Pretty excited, I have to say. And today's celebrity is pretty awesome as well, Cora Naylor. And we're talking about the emotion code and how sometimes the reason you're getting in your own way, do you remember an episode a few weeks ago? It's not you, it's me. The reason you're getting in your own way, you might not even realize that you've got an emotional block that is keeping you from achieving what you want. So have a listen. Let me know what you think. And I hope that you have an outstanding day. Take care. Hi, my friends. Welcome. This is the Back to Me podcast, and this is Heather, and I am super excited that you're here. You are going to hear some tips and some tricks and some ideas to help you live your happiest and healthiest self. I call it Back to Me because when you are taking care of yourself, back to me, then you can take better care of others, and we can all make the world a better place. This is Wellness Your Way, and I am super happy that you're here. Hello, my friend. How are you doing? I hope you're having an outstanding day. This is Heather. This is episode, what did I say? 94 of the Back to Me podcast. And this is one of our, well, it's one of my favorite days. I have lots of favorite days, but this is the celebrity chat day, which means I get to talk to an awesome human being about something and share all of their fabulous knowledge with you. And today's awesome human being is Cora Naylor. And you didn't write down the emotion code. Crack the code, lady. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. And I know you have your own podcast as well. Crack the code, right?
Yes. Just recently. Yeah.
Yeah. So my friends, if you're podcast junkies like me, go check out the Crack the Code. And I'm going to actually include that in the show notes so that people can find it. But first, because you are, what's it called? An emotion code coach? Is that what you call yourself? Practitioner. Mm-hmm. Emotion code practitioner. So first thing I'm always curious about is how did you find your way to this?
I actually met a lady at a networking event years ago who was an emotion code practitioner. And I thought it was really interesting. So I booked a couple of sessions with her to see how it worked. And I was really intrigued by it and always thought in the back of my mind at some point, I'm going to do something with that. And then a couple of years later, I got certified as a life coach. And while I was going through the life coaching program and got to the emotion dealing part of it, in my mind, I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, but I think the emotion code is just so much easier than doing this part. And so after I got certified as a life coach, I went and got my emotion code certification as well as an add-on.
It's funny that you say that because it is true when you're coaching people. I mean, you can't separate people and emotions. I mean, emotions are going to come up, and coaches aren't always really equipped or skilled at figuring out how to help that person move beyond whatever that thing is that's sticking them down, right?
Yeah, and that's what I like about the emotion code. I don't need to know the backstory, and you don't even have to remember the backstory. So I know for me personally, my parents split up when I was young. It wasn't really bad, but in my youthful brain, it was bad. And that's where a lot of my issues have come from. And my subconscious blocked out a lot of my stuff. So it's not even something that I could have talked about because I just don't remember things.
Right.
And yet all those emotions are there from that time that surface when you come up later to do something.
Yeah, it's interesting how much we don't realize we've been impacted when we're at that age. I think I can't remember, it's 5 years old or 8 years old where you can't actually discern what's truth and what isn't truth. It just goes in as a truth, even if it's not.
And that's when, for me, that's when my parents split up, right? In that frame. So I'm sure in my, childhood brain, a lot of confusion was going on there. So my thought in my head was, well, if I just don't say anything, nothing bad can happen.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And so I was so shy, so painfully shy as a child that I couldn't even talk to my friends.
Wow. You might have been more shy than me because I was really shy. Like I wouldn't go into a store if I thought they'd ask me if I needed help. Right? It's like I would have rather been invisible.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's taken a long time to, come out of that shell. And, I'll contribute a lot of it to getting introduced to direct sales when I was 19. My girlfriend got me into a company. And because of that, it started me on a whole personal development journey that I've been working on for years and years. And I enjoy that.
I'm surprised you would have gone into direct sales as a as a shy person.
I know. Well, I was a little bit better by then,
Right?
but yeah, it wasn't a natural thing, but that was sort of my first dip of the toe in there. And that's, like I say, what started the whole exposure to personal development and what's out there. A lot of people, if you haven't gotten into that stuff, if you're just in the regular day to day, you don't realize how much there is out there, what's available to you to improve your life and get you to make any kind of changes.
Right. And you don't have to be stuck in your stuff.
Yeah.
And I guess because I mean we've talked about, so what exactly is the emotion code? What does it like? So full disclosure, I went to one of Cora's co-working sessions recently and had firsthand experience, and it's pretty cool. So, but I'm going to get you to describe what emotion code
Yeah.
is.
The emotion code, it's a process. It was developed by Dr. Bradley Nelson, who was a practicing chiropractor in Utah. And it's a process for releasing negative trapped emotions. So as we go through life and we have events happening to us, if we don't process those emotions, they get stored in our body as little balls of energy. And this is a way to release those. And that method works by using muscle testing to talk to your subconscious and then releasing them with a magnet. And they figure the average person has about 200 or 300 trapped emotions. So we've got a lot of stuff going on in there.
Does it keep filling up like a vessel, like you have more and more that you pack down in as you
Can
age?
do.
This is
Yeah.
what I'm visualizing, just a big vessel full of little balls of energy.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we don't get taught how to deal with emotions as we're growing up. Especially, I know our parents were from the generation of, tamp it down, get over it, move on.
Keep calm and carry on,
Yeah,
right?
right? We don't get taught to let it go. Like, it's okay to cry it out. Like, maybe if you did that, you wouldn't be trapping as many of the emotions because you're dealing with them and getting them out. So this is a way to do that later. Hopefully, there will be stuff like that taught more. I think allowing kids to, process and allow that
Well,
to
and
happen.
it's interesting because I mean, I've been teaching yoga for almost 19 years. And my brain goes, "You've been doing what?" But is it because it happens in yoga class too? Sometimes the little bubbles burst and people are uncomfortable, even the person themselves, because they don't know why suddenly they're crying in a yoga class when there was nothing really wrong. It's like, it's okay. You can actually just like let it all out. It's,
Yeah,
what is that? It's better out than in.
yeah,
But there are times in our lives when it's like, stop your crying kind of thing, right?
yeah. Kind of knowing when is the processing and when is it sort of over the top.
Yeah. And so little bubbles of energy. I'm just picturing little people as little bubbles walking around. So is it like a one and done? Like, do you have to do it
Sometimes
200 times to clear all
Yeah,
these
like
guys,
for
or
most emotions, you gotta swipe 3 times over. It's over the guide meridian anywhere, it goes from the bridge of your nose down to this, back of your spine, so anywhere on there. And you can do it. I do most of mine, uh, sessions virtually, so you don't have to be in person to do them, which is really great. And in fact, I don't actually even need to be talking to the person as long as I have their permission, because it's all energy, which is really interesting. I don't know all the ins and outs of explaining how all of that works, but it's quite interesting. Like, I can sometimes get a message from somebody, release the emotions, and then I always message them right away, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know you just did it. I could tell."
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And what do you find? Do you find that there's any commonalities with people, or I mean, I know there's how many emotions that are usually
There's
bubbled up?
60 emotions on the chart, negative
60.
emotions. So your subconscious will know if it's not, the exact one, it knows which one to release for whatever
Okay.
the issues are. And the other thing is to keep in mind that sometimes they're not even your emotions.
Oh,
Sometimes we inherit emotions or we absorb them from other people. So it's really common when I work with emotional eating that the emotion is something absorbed or inherited through the womb. So you're
wow.
wondering why you can't stop eating chocolate or you need sweets or something soothing for you. It's not even your emotion.
That's interesting. Maybe that's why I love pizza so much. Mom, apparently my mother ate pizza every single night practically.
Yeah,
She said it was the only thing she could eat. I was like, okay, sure. So,
yeah,
and it's interesting. So, um, it's almost like because you get your immunoglobulins is the wrong word. You inherit your immunity, your immune system,
yeah,
guys, IGs. I remember
yeah,
their IGs from your mom, and so you can inherit other things as well. Your hair color. So
mm,
I wouldn't have ever occurred to me that you would have inherited kind of emotional bubbles.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes for other things, it could even be generational, like back multiple generations. And when you do release these emotions, they release from everybody.
Alive or dead.
Yeah, both.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder. So I don't know if you've ever watched What the Bleep Do We Know? I wonder if it goes back in time and
Mm.
back down the timeline to
Oh.
change. Oh, that'd be so cool.
Oh
Oh my
gosh.
God. My brain would explode.
Yeah, we don't want to think too hard.
Yeah. We know it works. We just,
Yeah,
that's as far as we go.
yeah.
And I guess, so
And sometimes
once,
it's like, well, you were asking, is it a one and done? So
right. Oh, yes.
sometimes for some things it is, and other things it's like layers of the onion. So you remove a layer of the onion and then that exposes something else. And so then, you have to keep releasing that. And I find with some types of things, it's like you just need a little tweak every now and then. I know I do a lot of work on myself. I do it almost on myself. And that's the other nice thing is you can do it on yourself. A lot
Really?
of modalities you can't do on yourself. So this one you can. And so I do a little bit on myself before every meeting that I do, just, releasing all kinds of things. It just go to little tweaks that you can always do. But like I said, I'm doing right now, working with women in this co-working space so that they can release the emotions around whatever they're going to work on. Because as business women, we have a lot of negative self-talk, limiting beliefs, and focusing on ourselves is not always easy. That's the thing that got me into this in the first place.
Was the focusing on yourself or getting your
Well,
business?
realizing, like you said, because I was shy, don't think of me as being in direct sales. That was sort of the impetus that got it going. But I have done a lot of different companies, direct sales, network marketing, and a lot of traditional jobs, but just never really got the success that I was hoping for in anything. So then, you sit back and say, well, why not? What's happening? Well, obviously, what's the common factor? It's me.
Right. That's so funny. I did a podcast episode, one of my solo editions, and it was it's not you, it's me.
Yeah,
Saying if you're not getting what you want, it probably is you. I'm sorry to tell
right?
you. Sorry to tell you that. But sometimes we don't know what like I just think of because I also coach coaches and do some business coaching. Sometimes you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing and you can't figure out why you're not being successful. Or the alternative to that is you know what you're supposed to be doing and I'm just thinking of the co-working space I participated in recently. I had a particular thing on my to-do list for like a couple of months probably that I wanted to do this one thing. And it's not like I didn't have time, but I just never did it. And then I was in your co-working space, and at the beginning, first we say, I like the little mini networking. And then you just go to each person, what are you working on? And then you clear whatever's going on for them. And then we go and we work for a couple hours. And oh my gosh, I got it done. And you just sit there and you go, well, why was I dragging my feet on that? It wasn't like, and maybe you never know the answer. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just something that you couldn't see. You can't see what you can't see.
Yeah. And when we procrastinate in different ways, I know for me, especially when you work at home, I don't love cleaning. I like a clean house, but somehow all of a sudden when something comes up that you don't really want to work on, you're kind of procrastinating. It sounds like fun to clean the toilet. And you know what? I don't like cleaning the toilet.
I did that. I started that tactic in university when I was supposed to be studying. You would just look and you go, oh my gosh, those windows are so dirty. I have to
Right?
clean the windows. I can't study with dirty windows.
Yeah. Or I'm going to start that course. I'm looking at this course. Yeah, because that's going to be good and useful, but it's just a more creative procrastination method.
Yes. There's so many ways to procrastinate.
Yeah.
And if you can recognize that you're just wasting time, I think that's a hard thing, to recognize that you're actually procrastinating instead of finding a way to justify that you're doing something useful.
Yeah, I think the things that is really prioritizing what's going to be useful and what's going to be income generating rather than the other things, those small tasks that, yeah, they're nice to get done, but they're not necessarily going to bring you an extra income.
Right. Especially as a business person. I mean, not everybody that you help is necessarily doing business, because we were talking about that in the co-working space, that it doesn't necessarily have to be something business related that you're not doing, right?
Yeah. And that's what I was saying when I first talked to you, Heather, that you're the one that gave me the idea because I saw all of their wonderful paintings that you had in the background and I was asking you about that. And you said to me, I don't remember the last time that I painted. And that's why I thought, oh, I'll add that to my co-working session group that, women can come in and either work on business or something for self-care, because that's something that we don't always schedule. And wouldn't it be nice to do that in the middle of the day when you have more energy and keep you going for the day, rather than trying to fit it in at the end of the day when you're exhausted and you don't feel like doing anything and you don't have that creativity and that energy to put into it.
And I also think about, so self-care, how many blocks, because of the people that I talk to, we have so many blocks around taking care of ourselves. And I can just imagine maybe all 68 of them.
60, yeah.
Right? It's like,
Yeah.
how many blocks can you have around self-care?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to count?
No, and it's different levels because it's different things. And that's the other part, the emotion. Each emotion gets trapped with a specific event. So you can't just swipe the magnet for 60 times and kind of be rid of everything. So each event can have multiple emotions, but they all are attached to a specific event. And it's not necessarily what you're working on now. That now, whatever you're doing is just the trigger to bring up whatever that emotion is from the past.
Oh, so you could have, I'm trying to remember some of the names of the emotions. So say you had shaming, is that one of them?
Yeah, could be. Yeah.
And it's attached to this event. It can be attached to other events too, right?
Yeah. And I find that's what's really interesting is that often people have the same emotion trapped multiple times for multiple events. They'll have a group of emotions that are come up again and again and again.
Because it's attached to different events.
Different events, yeah.
Oh, interesting. And
Mm.
maybe they got into an interesting feedback loop or something, and it kept
Yeah.
attaching it to the same emotion to everything.
Yeah. And it's really interesting. Like I did a really quick session with a lady I know the other day. She was having a lot of anxiety around a procedure that the dentist wanted to do for her. And she was freaking out, really anxious. And I released some emotions to her. And the emotions we found out were actually around her dad passing away 5 years ago.
Which is strange.
Yeah.
He wasn't a dentist, was he?
Oh. And there was only, I think I released 3 or 4 emotions, and she couldn't believe the difference in how she felt.
Wow.
And then she ended up going to the dentist, and they said maybe they wouldn't be doing that. They might go a different way, but she said she just felt so much calmer and wasn't so worried about it anymore.
That's amazing. And we are these emotional beings, right? We think that we're thinking beings and that we're always in our prefrontal cortex being all logical, but how fast can you flip the switch if someone cuts you off in traffic? You're not a logical being anymore. You're an angry person.
Yeah. And for relationships, the other one that's really common is called a heart wall. So every time we have a relationship that has something that goes sideways, we build up the emotions around our heart. And you
Whoa.
can have heart walls, so many kinds. You can have like a general heart wall. You can have a heart wall with yourself, with specific people, with potential clients, with your current clients, with money, so that we have all these things surrounding our heart that we can also release. And that was one thing I noticed, that when I released my heart wall, because I think I was so shy and protected and, not putting myself out there to have friends, that I had a really big heart wall. And when you release that, you notice the shift in how you are with people and how people are with you.
So do you find the heart wall like affect, you would notice it, or is it relationships, or I guess, is it an emotion or is it a collection of emotions?
It's usually when you first do your heart wall, it's a huge collection. Often it's not uncommon to have like 30 emotions.
Wow. And they're there to try and, like, I'm trying to imagine what it is for. Is they're there to protect your heart from being hurt, I guess?
Yeah. And it's really interesting. I had one lady a couple of years ago who I released her heart wall. She was a single mom. She had no intentions of meeting anyone or having a relationship. And within weeks of releasing her heart wall, she was in a committed relationship. It was crazy. She wasn't looking for it.
Right.
But, once you break that down, you don't know what's possible.
And I guess once you would just be a different person in the world, right? So you would have a different energy and just you would present differently. And
Because how sometimes people end up going out with the same people over and over, like different person, but the same personality type. So there's something there. And if you can release that block, if it's something that's not a good thing.
right. Yes. I've known people who always dated a version of the same person and it always ended poorly.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, can't you see? But I mean, you can't see. I think about the description one time I heard of, you're inside your packaging of you and the instructions are on the outside.
Yeah.
And you can't see the
Yeah.
instructions and you can't see, by the
Yeah.
way, when Heather was 5, this happened. You can't see that.
Yeah.
And I guess, and it's interesting that you don't have to know it or see, or it's just,
That's the
somehow
best part about it. They don't have to worry. Counseling is great and it has its place, and coaching and everything else, but it is nice to not have to worry about telling me what's going on. Some people do tell me, but I don't need to know, and you don't have to tell me, and you don't even have to remember.
And remembering, I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes I wonder if that's why sometimes therapy takes years and years and years and years, is because you can't remember why this upsets you so much. So you're trying to unpack something and the box has a padlock on it, right? It's like,
How are you supposed to bring something up that you don't even remember? You know it happened, but you maybe don't know all the details. So it's hard to get in there without
and
getting hypnotized.
stories change over time. I mean, your memories morph. We think our memories are static, but our memories are always cold, like changing. They feel like they're these shimmering dream things, and you can remember something. I can imagine something that I remember so precisely and clearly, but the person who was there remembers something else at, 20 years later. It's like, that's not what happened. This is what happened. And then you have that, no, this is what happened.
Especially with siblings, right? Everybody's in the same place, but they all have different perspectives on whatever the event was. I know my mom's been getting into writing memoir books, and she was talking to her older brother, and she's like, "This is what I remember." He's like, "That's not what I remember." You know, totally different, even though they were both there at the same time, living in a different house, but it's just a different perspective on it.
I'm the oldest of four, so it would be interesting to have a conversation with the four of us about events that happened. Because also, not only it's like you have a different perspective because you're a different person, but a different age and a different life experience colors everything, right? So, yeah, a different interpretation or impacted differently.
And
So
I think older, then you get treated different too, because you had to, break the barriers with your parents. And so the next three had a different experience because the parents are trained now too, because no one
yeah,
tells you to be a parent.
I know. Yeah,
There's no
there's
physical book.
there's no instruction manual. So, being the oldest, you're like, and then the baby, you're like, oh, you just get it soft and easy, the little baby.
Yeah, yeah,
Because they're worn out by they get
yeah.
to
So
number
they don't
4.
care. It's like, oh yeah, we've been there, done that. It's all good.
So funny. I'd be curious to see if your mom and your brother both wrote a memoir. If they would, these are 2 different stories.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah.
Has your mom done the emotion code?
No, she is not.
Hmm.
Yeah. Most of my family has not.
You
So
know,
I'm,
I get
no.
it. Yeah. There's always I I'm sure my dad's probably listening. They probably think I'm crazy. But
I don't even know if they know what I do, some of them, but I did work with one of my sons, and I think that helped him a lot. He's
oh,
got
that's good.
anxiety issues, and it helped him a lot,
And I
I
think
think.
anxiety seems so much more prevalent. I mean, and in younger people, like just remember I've had clients whose children, and I thought you're young to be, need to be medicated for anxiety or counseled for anxiety in their preteens,
Yeah,
anxiety. And I've just been watching it increasing and increasing through the population. And of course, the last 3 years has made it even more.
yeah,
So these are things I think about all the time. Like, where's it coming from? And
yeah.
is it a societal thing? Is it, I don't know. Do you get a sense of that?
Yeah, I'm not sure either, and I know I used to worry about that a lot when my kids were in high school. I mean, that's about 12 years ago that my kids graduated, but almost all of their friends that were girls were on some kind of antidepressants or something, anti-anxiety, whatever, something. And I don't know why. I mean, they don't really, again, get taught how to deal with stuff. Every time they have any kind of issue, they go to the doctor, and it's like, here, let's give you a pill. And there's so many methods that they can use to help deal with it. Like you say, just do yoga or, emotion code or any kind of alternative healing methods. And unfortunately, the holistic approach people and the medical doctors are not at the point of working together to try and figure out something they can do. The
Right.
medical
And it's true. I
doctors
mean, I've talked to breath coaches, and I mean, I do yoga, and there's meditation, and there's there's lots of alternatives to medication, but they're not always as instantaneous as taking something. So, and we have, maybe it's because we've become a society of instant gratification. You know, I don't have time to work through this. I have stuff to do. Just give me the pill and let's move on.
Yeah.
But
And then
it'll
there's people that have been taking them for years. Do they still work? 20? I know people have been taking them 20, 30 years.
That's a long time.
When, I mean, if you're going to do it in the short term, is there a plan to try and work you off of them? I don't know. Where do you get that dependence on there?
Right. And then I just picture all the little bubbles just piling up and spilling out the top of their heads because they haven't had time. They haven't dealt with any of them and they're just overflowing.
Yeah.
Oh, I could see a whole problem coming
Yeah.
with that.
And I tell people, wouldn't it be great if before you got out of high school, if you could do something like releasing your emotional baggage and financial training?
Yes.
Imagine what your life could be like if you had those two things done before you left high school.
Imagine if everybody in high school could just release their emotional baggage. It's okay. I like dogs.
Just not going too crazy. Yeah.
This is real life, man. Dogs bark, kids scream.
Oh, we're lucky. Yesterday I was in a session and my husband was in the shower and someone came to the door.
Bark, 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 bark.
Yeah.
I like high school is traumatizing, even if it went well for you, because it's trying to figure out moving from being a kid to kind of an adult, but not really an adult, still not really supposed to do things, but supposed to act grown up, and everybody acts like they know everything, even though they don't know anything. And that's very stress creating.
Yeah. Well, they don't always get the opportunity to ask the questions without feeling like, everyone's going to think I'm crazy or, I don't want to look like an idiot, and all that stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. They should have
So much puberty.
They should have therapy for high school, for people, everybody who survived high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you could go into those high schools and help those people process what was going on, oh my goodness, that would be so amazing.
Well, and the thing that you can do is you can get the book. So there's a book called The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, and you can read the book and you can learn to do it on yourself. You don't have to take a course.
Really?
He only wants you to get certified and take his program if you're going to use it as a business.
Right.
But anybody can read the book and learn how to do it. Sometimes for certain things, obviously, it's harder to do on yourself because it's too deeply ingrained. It takes some practice to do the muscle testing and to trust your muscle testing.
Right.
But it can be done. And even if you got rid of half of it on your own, wouldn't that be great?
That'd
or
be
just
amazing.
feeling anxious, that you can use that as a tool.
Very cool. That's so awesome. And you have a membership program as well, right?
Yeah, so I'm just starting that, and I'm expanding on what we're doing in the co-working sessions, because with women, we have a lot of self-doubts, or I know I did anyways. That was a lot of what was holding me back. Negative self-talk, limiting beliefs about so many things, blocks around money and earning money and, all that. And so it's a membership where we'll meet every week, set a monthly goal, because sometimes the goal is you set a goal and you might have a heart wall with your goal for the month, or limiting beliefs around whatever you set for your goal, because you think, well, so-and-so is doing it, I set it for myself. But in your mind, you're going, yeah, you're never going to do that, So
I'll raise my hand. I do that a lot.
Yeah, releasing those kind of blocks. And then every week I've got different things that we can go through to release the blocks, and then around also whatever you're currently working on.
Cool. So the co-working space is just free for people to come and join.
Yeah, so that's on the first and third Wednesday of each month from 9 till 11 a.m. Pacific.
Right.
And I'm sure you'll have the link in the show notes if they want to join. So that's to give you a taste if you're thinking, what the heck is this emotion code thing and how does it work? At least you can come and you can experience it for yourself. And then from there, if you decide, you know what, I like this and I want to do some more, then you can join the membership.
And I will say, I I was curious, which is why I joined the co-working space, and it's on my calendar now. It's like
Awesome.
I have to make sure I get there because it's I also just like the group of women that you have gathered. Like they're just really kind and interesting, and um,
Yeah. And the format I like, I'm assuming people are liking it, but they come in, just do one quick round of speed networking just to meet a few of the people. And maybe you'll connect with them outside of it for other collaborations or projects. I just want it to be a quick thing so that you get a quick time when we don't spend too much time doing the introductions, because sometimes in meetings people can take a long time on their 1 minute introduction or whatever. And then I release your emotions, and then we do some work, and then come back and celebrate. Because that's the other part, that as people that work from home, we don't always have someone telling us that we did a great job. And it's really fun at the end to cheer each other on for accomplishing whatever we did that day, and then go on and with the rest of your day kind of pumped up.
right? And you can get a lot done in that. I mean, it doesn't seem like a big piece of time, but you can, once you get down and just get rid of whatever's stopping you, you can get a lot done in a short
Yeah,
period of
and
time.
we're getting about an hour, 15 minutes, an hour and 15 or so, which is a good chunk of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's focused. When you're home, I know with me, you're at home and you think, oh, I got an hour and 15, I can get a lot done. Oh, and you go to do something, and then it's like, oh, that looks cool. Squirrel, squirrel. And then an hour's gone by and you're like, well, what was I doing? I forgot what I was doing. But for some reason, when you're in that co-working space, maybe it's just knowing that other people are, you told them what you're going to do and you better get it done. But
Right.
it's nice that it gets done now. If you're in a group setting, sometimes when you meet once a week, you have that whole week, and then things come and go and you don't quite get it done. And the meeting's at 9 a.m. and at 8 o'clock, you're doing whatever said you're going to do.
It's so true. Oh my God. How did you know?
Been there, done that.
Right.
So it's nice to actually come in, say what you're going to do, and get it done right now.
Right. Oh my gosh. So true. That's outstanding. Yeah. So I think that everybody needs this, really. I think everybody needs this. And even if you feel like your life is fabulous and everything's great, I'm pretty sure you've just touched you've got bubbles in there somewhere. I can't help it. I just picture people as bubbles now. So,
They used to go, I like bubbles.
bubbles, bubbles.
And then because then they burst when you release them, then they burst and just float away.
Let's burst them into sparkles.
Yeah.
That's my visualization.
Yeah.
Sparkles. Awesome. This is so interesting. I'm so fascinating. And the book, for anyone who missed it, is called
The Emotion Code.
The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson.
Yeah.
And of course, they can also reach out to you because all of your contact information is in the show notes. And so thank you so much, Cora, for joining me. But before you go, do you have any final words of wisdom?
No, just know that if you are struggling with anything and you not sure what to do, just reach out to people. There are so many alternative methods for dealing with emotional things and emotional baggage. You don't have to do it alone. Reach out to me, reach out to somebody else. It doesn't matter, but just be looking out for yourself, because nobody else is going to do it. But you can, and it's never too late to get started.
Right. So true. And you're right. I mean, you've got to self-advocate. So true, true. But you don't have to do it alone.
Right.
You need to do it, but you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of that information. It's so interesting. I'm probably going to get the book. I can't help it. Right?
It's really interesting. It's mind-boggling what it can do.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, my friend, for listening. If you found it interesting, you know what to do. Comment, like, subscribe, share, all of those fabulous things. Take care, my friends, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye. Hi, my friend. Thanks so much for listening to this entire podcast. If you found it useful and you're like me and you like helping others, please feel free to share this. Just give it a like, give it a comment. If you found something useful in it, there's a chance that someone else will find something useful as well. Also, if you have any questions at all, I can absolutely help, and I would love to help. You can email me at heather@prosperityflowcoaching.com. If you want more of this awesome content, you can follow me on Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching. You can follow me on Facebook, Prosperity Flow Coaching. And I have a personal request. I want to help as many people as I can with these podcasts. And if you could give me a review, hopefully a good one, if you could share, if you could send this out into the world, I would truly appreciate it. I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope that you find your way to wellness by getting back to me. Take care, my friend.